Hello, and welcome to Folklore and Flourish, the Legends Reborn folklore podcast, brought to you by Blue Box 29. This podcast is at the very heart of who we are and what we create, the myths, the lessons, and the forgotten wisdom that breathe life into the Legends Reborn chronicles. Every story we write, every world we build, and every character we reimagine is rooted in the ancient tales that shaped humanity. This show is my way of honoring those roots, sharing their magic, and inviting you into the stories that inspire our books and our souls. I'll see you in there.
When you're somewhere where you're supposed to be or where your energy more aligns with, it's easier to be happy, I think.
Are you a dry heat or a humid heat person?
Bird is breastfeeding.
This rock is gonna have a baby. What if he's right? Well, hear me out. What if we allow him to be right?
Let me get rid of this gum. I gotta swallow it.
I do that with all my gum.
Not bad for you.
Hey everybody, welcome in. You're back with Jane.
And I'm Mark.
And we are on January 5th, so day 5 in January, the month between worlds, all about the seeker crossing the veil. Super cold outside, definitely the dark, cold months for sure, as the sun is going down early and earlier every day, it feels like.
Seems like it. Isn't it supposed to be getting longer right now? Because it's the equinox has already happened. Or does it? Yeah, the days are supposed to be getting longer right now.
Maybe. I don't know. January is only the second month of winter, so it's literally the middle dark month.
Yeah,
I don't understand how it works either.
I guess maybe research.
Anyways, we are in winter, which is all about the soul myths, the shadow work, looking at yourself and working on those. I guess what it is you're supposed to be doing,
right.
Acknowledging, a lot of attention and acknowledgement. Today is all about the signs. So the theme of today is that nature speaks. It'll be a fun one, I think, today. So our 4 stories today are coming from Mayan, Roman, Inuit, and Polynesian legends and myths, their culture today. So let's go ahead and look at those 4 stories. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. Story 1. The jaguar who walks between worlds. In the old Mayan world, the jungle was never silent. Leaves moved when no wind stirred them. Shadows shifted even when the sun stood still. The forest breathed, watched, and remembered. To walk beneath its canopy was to enter a place where the boundary between worlds thinned without warning. Among all beings who moved through this living threshold, none were more feared or revered than the jaguar. The jaguar did not belong entirely to the day or the night. It hunted in darkness, but its coat carried the sun's pattern. It moved unseen, yet left no doubt of its presence once revealed. To the Maya, this was not coincidence, it was meaning. The jaguar was a walker between worlds. It traveled freely between the realm of the living, the underworld of Xibalba, and the sacred sky. Kings patterned their thrones with jaguar pelts. Shamans wore its image when crossing into trance. Warriors invoked its spirit before battle, not to gain strength, but to gain awareness. The oldest stories say the jaguar appeared when a boundary was about to be crossed. A hunter might glimpse its eyes glowing briefly in the brush before choosing a new path. A ruler might dream of a jaguar pacing silently behind them before making a fateful decision. A village might hear its roar echo through the night, just before drought, war, or change arrived. The jaguar did not warn with words, it marked moments. To see a jaguar was never neutral. The Maya believed it meant one of two things: that you were being protected or that you were being tested, sometimes both. Those who tried to chase or capture the jaguar were said to lose their way, wandering until exhaustion claimed them. Those who acknowledged its presence, who stopped and listened to the forest instead of forcing their will through it, often returned with clarity rather than trophies. The jaguar was not a messenger sent to humans. It was a reminder that humans were not alone in meaning. When the Maya carved jaguar faces into temples, they were not decorating. They were signaling that the site stood on sacred ground, that the place itself watched back, that the world was alive and responsive. To ignore signs was to invite imbalance. To read them required humility. Even now, the jungle remembers, and the jaguar still walks where worlds overlap, appearing only long enough to ask the same question it always has. Are you paying attention? Story 2. The Gods Who Wrote in Wings. In ancient Rome, the sky was never empty. Even when no clouds moved and no thunder spoke, the heavens were considered alive with intention. The gods did not always descend in flame or voice. More often, they communicated through patterns, through motion, through signs that required discipline to read. Birds were among their clearest instruments. Long before armies marched or laws were passed, Romans looked upward. The flight of birds, their calls, their direction, and their timing were not casual observations. They were language. Those trained to read this language were called augurs. An augur did not guess, he prepared. He purified himself, marked sacred ground, and stood facing a prescribed direction. The sky was divided into regions, each aligned with divine meaning. A bird flying from left might signal favor, from the right, delay. A sudden cry could halt a ceremony entirely. This practice was not superstition, it was governance. Before Rome became an empire, before it claimed dominion over land and sea, it believed itself subject to a higher order. The gods did not command humans directly, they signaled. It was the human responsibility to notice. There are stories of generals who postponed battle because the birds refused to appear, of assemblies dismissed because the omens were unclear, of rulers who ignored the signs and paid for it in blood and disgrace. One such tale tells of a council eager for victory who dismissed unfavorable omens as cowardice. The birds had flown against expectation. Their cries were sharp and scattered. The augurs advised delay. The council marched anyway. His army was defeated before noon. To the Roman mind, the failure was not military. It was moral. He had acted without permission. Birds mattered because they crossed realms effortlessly. They touched the earth and the sky. They saw what humans could not. Their movements were not bound by roads or borders, and thus they were believed to carry divine perspective. Not every Roman understood augury, but every Roman respected it. Even skepticism did not excuse disobedience. The sign did not require belief. It required acknowledgement. To ignore a sign was to declare oneself above the order that held the world together. That kind of arrogance was more dangerous than any enemy. In time, as Rome grew powerful, Some began to manipulate the signs. Augurs were pressured. Omens were reinterpreted. The language of birds grew quieter, not because the gods stopped speaking, but because fewer were willing to listen. Still, the stories endured. They taught that power does not grant clarity, authority does not replace attention, and the world will always signal before it corrects. The sky speaks first. Only later does consequence follow. Story 3. The Lights That Watch. In the far north, where the lands open wide and the sky feels close enough to touch, people learned early that survival depended on attention. The Inuit lived where sound carried far, where small changes mattered, where the world could not be ignored without consequence. Snow remembered footsteps. Ice spoke before it broke. And the sky, above all, watched. When the long night arrived and darkness stretched across the land, something else often appeared: the aurora. Curtains of green and white light rippled across the sky, moving as if alive. They danced, they shifted, they brightened and dimmed without warning. To those who did not know them, they were beautiful and frightening. To the Inuit, they were not lights, they were beings. The elders said the aurora were spirits moving across the sky. Sometimes they were the souls of the dead, sometimes animals, sometimes something older and harder to name. They were not distant. They noticed those who stood beneath them. Children were taught not to whistle at the lights. A whistle was an invitation. It was said that if you whistled, the aurora might draw closer, descending toward the earth to see who had called. If they came too near, they could take a person's head, carrying it away into the sky. Whether this was meant literally or as warning did not matter. The lesson was clear. Do not mock what you do not understand. When the lights appeared suddenly, people grew quiet. Conversation softened. Movement slowed. The aurora were believed to respond to sound, to laughter, to arrogance. They were playful, but not harmless. Some stories tell of hunters who saw the lights pulse brightly just before a storm arrived. Others tell of travelers who were guided home by the glow when the land had erased all familiar markers. The lights did not protect everyone. They responded. The Inuit believed the aurora reminded humans that the boundary between worlds was thin, especially in the dark months. The living were never entirely separate from the dead. The sky was not empty space. It was inhabited. To live well was to move respectfully beneath it. The lights were signs not because they predicted specific events, but because they demanded awareness. They asked the same thing the ice and wind asked. Are you paying attention? In a place where survival depended on humility, the aurora taught restraint. They were beautiful, yes, but beauty did not make them safe. Wonder did not cancel responsibility. Even now, when the lights bloom suddenly across the Arctic sky, people still lower their voices. Some signs do not need interpretation. They need respect. Story 4. The Whale Who Appears. Across the wide Pacific, where the ocean stretches farther than memory and land appears only after long trust, the sea has always been more than water. It is ancestor, it is road, it is witness. Among many Polynesian peoples, whales were never thought of as animals alone. They were Aumakua in Hawaii, ancestral guardians who returned in living form. Elsewhere, they were remembered as navigators, protectors, and carriers of lineage across generations. A whale did not appear by accident. The old stories say that when a whale surfaced near shore, something was being acknowledged. A birth, a death, a journey about to begin. Whales did not follow human schedules. They arrived when meaning required them. Canoes crossing open waters sometimes found themselves accompanied by a whale swimming just beneath the surface. its massive body pacing the fragile vessel without disturbing it. The people did not panic. They lowered their voices. They sang. To be followed by a whale was not danger. It was recognition. Some stories tell of whales appearing when navigators had lost their bearings, when clouds had erased the stars and currents felt unfamiliar. The whale's movement restored orientation, not by instruction, but by presence. It reminded the traveler that the ocean was not empty, and that no journey was taken alone. Whales also appeared in moments of grief. When someone died far from home, a whale might surface near the family shore, breaching once before disappearing again. The elders said this was the ancestor arriving to say what words could not, proof that the spirit had not been lost to the vastness. To harm a whale was unthinkable, not because it brought punishment, but because it broke relationship. A people who lost relationship with the ocean would not survive long. The whale was a sign because it carried memory across distance. It reminded humans that they belonged to something older than villages and names, that life moved in cycles far larger than individual desire. When whales disappeared for long seasons, it was not taken lightly. It meant imbalance, overfishing, disrespect, forgetting the old agreements between people and sea. The whale does not announce itself. It rises, it breathes, it submerges. And in that brief moment, it asks whether those watching still remember how to belong to the world that carries them. All right, welcome back in. I hope you enjoyed those stories. The day's thread in regards to those 4 stories. So we're talking about nature speaks. Across every culture today, the world speaks through pattern. A jaguar crossing the path, birds shifting direction, lights moving in the sky, and a whale surfacing once, then gone. The sign does not explain itself. It does not insist. It waits to be noticed. All right, so what are your thoughts about that?
There's quite a few things that actually stuck out with me on these. One with the light. One of the quotes within the one with the light was something about not messing with things that you don't understand.
Yeah,
Gosh, I wish people would.
mocking things that you don't
Yes.
understand.
I wish so many people would just listen to that because that is such a good form of advice right there. So many different ways you can utilize that.
Yeah, mocking things that I feel like that would require people to worry about themselves, which in a world where your sense of worth is measured by the amount of likes you have on your picture that you had to stage for, it's pretty hard to just worry about yourself when you're told, no, you shouldn't worry about yourself. You should worry about what this picture perfect online family looks like, an individual looks like.
Yep.
So it's kind of hard, but I think you're absolutely right. Not mocking what you don't understand, but that doesn't mean that you not understanding me is far more significant than me not understanding you. I
Yeah.
think that's a big thing too. Is only certain things matter when it's like, no, everything does. Um, so with all of those in mind, we were talking about it a second ago, how we just feel so cut off from so many different signs and symbolism, living in a place where you don't see the ocean,
Yeah.
where you don't see, I guess, water at all, a normal thing. So, you used to live over by the Great Lakes. I
Mhm.
mean, what was it like over there? I mean, if you were seeing whales, that'd be pretty wild. But like in terms of like, what did it feel like living with water?
So that for me is what I struggle with right now. So the mountains are beautiful and it looks great out here, right? And it is for a lot of people. Like that is God's country, like they say. And
With the
to be honest,
mountains?
when I go out there, out in the mountains, yeah, and they're like, oh, this is God's country. Well, to me, that's anywhere that you associate with. So like I am more of a water person. So it is very challenging for me to be happy in the desert. I would prefer big green trees and water. So for me, living in a place that has more water, more green is more who I am. So I get a better feeling from it. What types? I don't know. Just I guess just all in all, just more happy. When you're somewhere where you're supposed to be or where your energy more aligns with, it's easier to be happy, I think.
Yeah, I think terms of the weather and the feeling of it when I lived in Wisconsin for that year, I definitely liked the way it felt over there in terms of the air. Just honestly everything, the environment. I will say though, the hardest part for me was I could not stand it when I couldn't see the sky.
Mm,
So when I was in those super green parts, and I love the green and everything, but to look up and not see
it's
the sky
cloudy a
was
lot.
well, and yeah, it was really hard for me. I mean, living out here where that's all you see,
Blue skies
blue skies.
all the time.
Yeah, and it's like you see the beauty of the sunrise and the sunset, and to be like, yeah, I love it. The green, you feel so good. But when you do look up, and that's my way of like reaching up to
Mhm.
what I believe in. So when I look up and I can't see that.
For like those of you that don't know, like I grew up in Nevada. I went to high school out here and then I moved back to Minnesota where I'm originally from. Now, growing up out here, one thing I really got to see, especially where we live right now, it's one of the best places to view stars because we are so far from any major city and we're so high up in elevation. Now, when you're out there and the great, amazing places where there's a bunch of water in the green where I'm used to, the stars aren't as great. They
Mm.
look beautiful, but one, you got more clouds more often. Out here, you get to see the stars a lot more often. So it's that trade-off. It's that yin yang. Like, what do you want to give up? Because you can't have everything.
So then I guess, is it there are some of us that are calling or being called from the waters below while others are being called to the waters above?
Mm,
So it doesn't matter. We all are people of the water, but some of us reach for it
in different ways.
in different, yeah. Because I guess that would make sense as like to the earth people in the sense that people that live in places that you can't see the sky, but it's rivers, something like the Amazon rainforest, where the earth is literally just as much water as it is the greenery, the
Right.
dirt. Like, so maybe that is a thing
I
too.
mean, look at places where it's very humid and there's like that mist in the sky. That's just water in the sky. That's like so before it was separated, right? Like that's what it was like. Like you were just going through like some of the videos I've seen. They're like it was like misty. Like the you could still walk around allegedly from some of the cool stories that I've read, but like it was so thick, it wasn't like you could walk around and breathe. But it was like
Right.
you're walking around soaked. Like I want to watch a movie about that. Like someone write that for me so I
The
can watch it.
humidity is no joke. That is something that's definitely difficult. Maybe that's another reason, like, water below is above. Like, I love being up here in the sense that it's dry
Mhm.
heat. Oh, that humidity is just like when I went to Virginia, I was felt drenched the whole time. Like everything stuck to me. And I was like, wow, I'm a disgusting human being.
18 years old, I moved back to Minnesota and I was living in my aunt's trailer right next to my grandma's house. No AC. And back there, like, so I'm used to out in the dry heat, you get a swamp cooler. And those of you where it's humid and you don't know what a swamp cooler is, you just put water on this filter and you blow air through it. And it makes your house cool because it's dry and there's no water in the air. When you go back to where it's humid, those things don't work at all. And they had one of those things. So I'm just laying there, just drenched, just in bed, like midnight, and it's just hot because it's 100 degrees, humidity plus like the,
Plus, you're making it worse. So,
and then you're just no words. It's
yeah.
the worst when you go from no humidity to that, and just vice versa. So people out there, who has
But the
lived in
air,
humid place? Who has lived in dry places? Who has lived in both? And what do you prefer?
oh, we can put that on our
I
polls on
think we should.
Spotify. Are
Yeah,
you a dry heat or a humid heat person?
because there's a huge difference.
100%. But man, the air quality. Moving to Wisconsin, I mean, I was a athlete up here in terms of small town athlete where you can play every single sport and then be good at it. But going up there, I mean, I was like running longer distances than I did in soccer here, but of course I was. Should have been able to do a faster mile, should have been able to go longer distances.
Well,
I mean,
elevation.
I could kick the ball and it felt like I didn't have to try. And that's kind of what the coach said. And it was 100% when you've had 18 years of athletic training in a super mountainous, high elevation place, and then you drop to sea level, it's a huge
It's a
advantage.
It is. Look at professionals. A lot of them go to higher elevations.
UNLV used to come here,
Yeah.
and they would do all their stuff here. Let's go back and look at some of these stories in particular. Again, the Mayan one is this one actually, the jaguar story is both pre-classic and classic. So it's a little bit of that small percentage we do acknowledge from like early civilization rather than just the post where we're getting all the, I mean, everything we know today.
Right.
And that's just that reflects that broader belief that animals are not just symbols alone. They serve as spiritual intermediaries. And I don't know, you see a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's just me because all my social media is filtered with animal stuff. And you've seen it. I've seen like little babies up to date on the zoos and the newborn stuff. But then something else that's really interesting, and I've talked your ear off about it before, is the jaguar movement. Seeing rumors of jaguars moving up into America and crossing into Arizona and New Mexico and projecting to continue to move up. I mean, we live in a hugely mountainous area that's not fitting for jaguars, evolutionary wise. But I mean, if they're already moving, that's a huge shift.
Mhm.
But seeing them as serving as spiritual intermediaries, are those perhaps entities calling people home? Like how we have this calling to go back to, like, for example, how I've been called to go back to Norway, called to go over to Scotland and Ireland. And I just feel this deep, like I'm having dreams about it. And this feeling like waking up feeling that Pacific West Coast vibe. Is that that? Or is that a deeper rooted, that's why we're dying here?
Yeah, it's like, hey, you need to come home.
Right.
You need to come here because there's something you need to do. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to stay there, but we have to go to figure out whatever it is that we need
Right.
to do.
So, I mean, borders are only created by humans. I mean, that's a human thing. Animals could care less. I mean,
Right. 1,000,000%.
so is that a spiritual symbol or sign, or is that just trying to go reach? How far will ancestors reach? I mean, jaguars are coming up against the odds and stuff. So are those just ancestors following the people they love, reaching for them, calling them, searching for them? I don't know. It's just an interesting,
Could be.
like maybe even someone that didn't make it to sanctuary in any area, do their animals, like that spouse goes and makes sure that
Mm.
that family made it,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. So I don't know. That's kind of cool. Super old, like 1,000 BCE to 900 CE. So it's still,
Mm.
I'm kind of modern, but I think that goes so far beyond what we even think as our time frame. I think that the Mesoamerican time frame is a lot like the Egyptian in the sense that we're so far off that if we
Right.
just moved it a little bit, all that historical pattern matches up. Yet we as humans are like, this is what we know it is, even
Yeah,
though historically we're seeing that it's this is what it is.
we're so ignorant. Like once somebody makes a decision, we're like, all right, cool. And we don't want to change our mind. It's like, is it just because we're too prideful? That we were like, oh, we believed this for so long that now we don't want to seem a fool for actually changing what we think.
I think there's a little bit of that. I have more degrees than you, so I know. And now we're living in a society where we're all like, that doesn't mean anything because people can buy degrees, people can earn a degree in, yeah, see, like degrees really, I mean, trade school, learning something. If it was a degree where and I know that's a laughable because it's like, it's a degree, of course you're learning something. No, I think that there are a lot of degrees that do not require learning to be done.
Yeah.
I think it just requires, I guess, social learning to be done. What do I need to say to be able to get this?
Right.
What is the amount of effort I need to put in to get this? Obviously not in every thing by far, but I would argue that even like law and doctorate, that's beyond a degree. That's a trade,
Yeah.
So it's the same, but it's a deeper knowledge where I think we don't see that anymore, but yet we're told you must trust me because I have this piece of paper that says I'm smarter than you. Like, I paid to be told that I am, so you need to listen to me. I don't know. And of course, that there are people with degrees that are by far more intelligent than I am, but
Well, yeah, 100%. But then there's also people without degrees that are freaking super smart. They just didn't care to go to school.
and those
Maybe
are
they
some of the
couldn't
people that
afford
are
to go,
challenging the historical
right?
timelines.
And they're just like, yeah, but how does this make sense? Because if you take A plus B plus C, what should be this should be right here. This should be our answer, but you're saying it's this answer
It
way over
doesn't
here.
make sense because the math doesn't make sense. It's like the whole when I have a dollar and I multiply it by 0, where did my dollar go?
How did it
Math
how
itself.
did it just that's why I like watching Terrence Howard and him talking about math. I'm like, and okay, so here's the thing. There's two different maths, right? And we switched. Like there's the what are the two different maths? Whatever it is. But there's Celsius and Fahrenheit, for instance. Why? Just give me one.
The metric system
Yeah.
and yeah.
Because one is just like 0 to 10 pretty much. And the other one is like, we're gonna add a bunch of we're gonna mess with your brains.
All right, let's rein it back in. I took us way off topic. My bad. My bad. Okay. That one, okay. So I do want to point out that while that Mayan one was pretty vast culture, there was a lot of evidence that I found that pointed it towards Guatemala, that Guatemalan region, as kind of where those came in the most. I guess the most storytellings or the farthest back, the exact pinpoint they could put it was deep down in Guatemala. So I don't know. It's a guess. It's a guess, but shout out to Guatemala for that one. The next one is Roman, and Roman and Greek are different mythologies. Some people don't know that. I mean, most of it is a lot of name changes, but that is specifically the Roman one that we looked at today with the augurs language and stuff. So that kind of reflects the ancient belief that legitimate human action must align with divine order. Okay. So that shaped Roman governance as much as its religion did. So that there are certain things that you don't toy with, and signs from the divine were one of them. It was ignorant, regardless of your belief system, still it was ignorant to challenge the world. When you saw the world gave you something to say, no, 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 no. So that's just that one. I didn't know it was augury or augur language. I didn't know that that was a word that I learned while reading this, like that term in itself.
Augur.
Yeah, like that being used in that sense rather than like a tool. I didn't know that's what it was called, like the people that could read those omens. It's interesting.
Oh, that is, yeah.
The Inuit one too, that one, the auroras. So the whistling, the acknowledging or mocking things you don't understand. I like how it says that whistling up, that was mocking it 'cause you didn't understand it. It's not you have to say something mean or hurtful to mock something. You have to have this or this. And that one, I mean, the auroras you can now see all the way down in Nevada. Like that's baffling to me. Um, Depending on if you actually think that's what it is or not. But that one specifically was a lot of that 2000 BCE to present. So that's still, I mean, believed to be ancestors, spirits. And it's up in Greenland specifically is where a lot of that sense of that story came from. I mean, we see the Alaskan. If you haven't, the movie Brother Bear, that's based up in Alaska. Obviously, you see a lot of that same Northern Lights spirits and animal symbolism there as well. And that's still, I get, living and continuous, but it goes to bring up the question of how many entities and stuff in the Inuit culture, if you mock it, you will bear the consequence, like right away. I think of may not be Inuit specifically, the Wendigo. It uses the voice, so it mocks someone you love by using their voice, right? So if you answer it because you don't understand, there is that immediate consequence. I know that there is, I don't know if it's Inuit or not, but I know it was up in Canadian stuff. It's a creature that would be by the ice, like something that would pull children in, for wandering too far away or for going on unstable ground. But it was another, if you don't understand it, walk away.
Right.
Like acknowledge that it was there. Don't be a fool, but don't be a fool.
Right.
And walk away. And I look at it up there as those cold boundaries where your mistakes, they do bear consequence immediately. Whereas today everyone gets so many different chances and stuff. Oh, where you left this running, this broke down, we don't have a fire tonight. You couldn't have those mistakes in certain places. Yeah. So you don't see the sign.
Yeah.
And then you mock the sign. All right, well, life has to go on. And now you may have made it a little bit harder because of your lack of respect, I guess. But so we talked about a jaguar, the birds in Rome, pretty big. I know the eagle's the biggest sign of Zeus. And then we got the Inuit lights, and then we go down to the whale messengers. And we kind of talked about that in sense of the water and everything. But that is a huge idea that animals are more kin than we give them credit for being, in the sense that they too are living on this plane with us. They aren't, oh, well, they can't talk and communicate like us, so they aren't intelligent. No, they've been here a lot longer. And that's just a big, the ocean was such a huge part of the Polynesian lifestyle because you could see it from every angle of the island. But you also see nowadays whales are acting a little bit different. And again, the marine biology stuff, they show you I'm obsessed with humpback whales going back at orcas, right? But you see whales will even lift humans out of the water when there's a predator circling. So unbeknownst to you swimming in the ocean, obviously there's going to be predators out there, but you freak out because there is a ginormous 2 bus long animal coming up under you, and it just
Lifts you up. It's
lifts you up on its belly, and it's enjoy this ride, and you're freaking out. I saw one video where the lady was freaking out and the whales continuously trying to plop her up, and then she goes back in the water and sees a shark, and then finally is like, okay, I'm good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But I don't know. I think there's something about whales that they really are those gentle creatures, but they can't always be.
No.
You see humpback whales disrupting the orca eating pattern, so they'll actively get in the way.
I love watching those shows because you got the one you're rooting for, and you're like, ah, and then it doesn't get to eat, and you're sad. But then you're like, well, it not eating, something got to live. But that's nature. But it's fun to watch.
It's so crazy too, because I think that too, in the sense of you see people throw things at snakes so that they aren't finishing their meal. Okay, well, that animal's still dead though.
Yeah.
And now that snake's dead.
Yeah.
For doing what it's supposed to do. Because we do get sympathetic and stuff. But then there are cases where it's a human involved hurting an animal, and we don't care. We have this total disconnect towards our own species.
Yeah.
I think of Moby Dick, for example, in the heart of the sea. And whether you believe in the historical accounts or not, I 100% believe in the historical accounts that were given because of how much was at stake, and those men still said this is what happened.
Right.
But gosh, you root for that whale.
Kinda, yeah.
You root for him. He's the big dad of the group. Okay. He has gotten all of his family up in these remote places, moving, gave them chances. And now he's tired of it, continuously seeing them die. And so, no, I'm going to sink your ship. I'm going to chase you to the ends of the earth to make sure you've learned your lesson. But I'm not going to make it easy, And I can just imagine the sense of a whale in that circumstance, that humbling, you are not even close to what we are on this plane. And of course, that's very different from, I'm sure, I don't know all the whale patterns, but to see those breach the water is a little bit different than seeing a humpback whale breach the water. The blue whales, I mean, I'd be interested to see what the symbolism is with that 43 whale or blue whale. That one I told you that its pitch is too high
Right, and
for
it
other
swims by
whales.
itself, but now you said
Yeah,
that there's possibly another
I
one?
saw that there was possibly like that frequency. They found another whale that was pushing out that same frequency could communicate, and the patterns, like I don't know if it's true. I really hope so. They were trying to push them within range that
All of
one would
each other?
hear. Yeah, so they could, because I mean the blue one that they were tracking for a long time. I mean, how unbelievably sad to
Mm.
be just going and going and going and waiting to hear something back. This could be the very whale that Dory, though, was trying to communicate with in Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? That's about the pitch that it's at. So it's looking for Dory and you know, but
It's a great movie, and I love that
dude,
franchise.
love it. Love it. There's still places that do kill whales.
Mm.
And I'd love to make it easy and be like, oh, it's a country that we hate as, Americans. But I saw the Blackfish movie. The time I went to SeaWorld with my dad, though, and I told you I went to the zoo and I saw the rhino just like absolutely as depressed as I could ever imagine an animal being. And they're like, no, we have balls in here for the elephants and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like 500 square feet.
I never, like, even as a kid, can remember going to a zoo theme park of like an animal or whatever and thinking to myself, man, these animals got it good and they're having a great time. I've always felt bad, even when I was a little kid. And
And
I
see, the
know
thing,
that for a
the
fact.
thing with me was as a kid, I never believed that orcas, there was that high of a percentage with the fin that was flipped. I
Yeah.
just couldn't believe it, because I mean, why would God create this beautiful specimen that had so many defects,
Mm.
yet let ugly specimens like us, you know, have like beautiful children and this is stuff? And I'm just like, yeah, no, it seems like a little bit less deserving of the good looks on our side. Seeing that, and then you watch the Blackfish and you watch all these videos of people coming forward like, no, these weren't saved animals. These were ripped from their homes. They were ripped from their whatever. And then we put down the animal for being angry. That's what baffles me. And then the lying about putting an animal down and then having to go back and find out that that animal was punished by just sitting there. Like the biggest punishment was making it sit in something it couldn't even move. And it's just like, and then we were killing them for oil. And you see, if you haven't seen In the Heart of the Sea, the very ending, you see it on the guy's face. I heard that they found it in the ground, like oil in the
Yeah.
ground. You could see it on his face of just,
Made him sick like that. All
yeah.
that for naught.
And what we had been doing for so long, and it was here. Like, how arrogant were we to think we could conquer the sea? And now the sea has just totally abandoned us, I feel like, you know? Like, but then you see all this great stuff of like humpback whales coming back in towards San Francisco Harbor. Like, I mean, I'm irritated because I want to go great white caged diving, and when the humpbacks come in and orcas start coming in, I mean, great whites will leave the area when an orca is spotted for quite some time. But you see these whales moving into harbors that they abandoned a long time ago. And it's kind of exciting. I mean, I really don't like zoos and that kind of stuff. Oh, but I'm a sucker for the sanctuary places
Yeah.
where you see these people save these animals, and it's like our story yesterday. She loved them. She loved that boy that was abandoned and left to her, but she let him go.
Yeah.
It was not hers to just contain and keep. And
Well, that's a sanctuary, though, right?
right.
You if you can, you make sure it's better, and then you let it go. And so it should be.
And I mean, there's some that will be lifelong in them. And
Yeah.
a beautiful story that I saw, and I hope other people have seen it, is the one, speaking of birds, is the bald eagle. That male bald eagle that I told you about was trying to hatch an egg or trying to hatch a rock,
Yeah.
And then when he was gone, I don't know if he was getting all cleaned up, looking good, I don't know what he was doing. Took him out, and then he came back in and they replaced it with a baby.
Yeah. Like
And
it has.
and I don't know if they put the egg around it or whatever they did, or if it was there and then it hatched with him sitting on it. I don't know. But it was the first time that they've attempted to foster with a bald eagle. And so far it's worked.
Yeah, didn't they say they were going to have that same male bald eagle do it again
And so
because he
that's the
was
thing,
so
if they were successful with that, because I know that there were other birds that they've done that with, other animals they've done it with. But a bald eagle,
Yeah.
talk about whoever saw that and noticed that that bald eagle was trying to create a family.
Yeah.
That it was saying, hey, I'm ready. And then thank goodness, because I don't even know how soon after that baby needed one.
Yeah.
And they hadn't successfully fostered. And they're like, okay, well, hear me out. This dad over here is thinking this rock is going to have a baby. What if he's right? Well, hear me out. What if we allow him to be right?
Yeah.
And then we're sitting here thinking we did this bald eagle, this huge thing. But what if that bald eagle knew that baby's coming to me? I'm going to show them that I'm ready
He
for it.
manifested it.
Yeah, he's like, it is coming. I know it's coming. He's going to need some help. Let me show these humans that I'm ready. I'm the one. And then, they'll do their thing and I'll get what I want. He's just kind of cute, Going into our reflection question, what is a sign that made sense too late? So we like to see these signs and all of this and this, but what about the signs that we saw that were too late? And I'm not saying like a relationship where you're like, oh, I saw the red flags way too late. No, you didn't. You just ignored them. You ignored them.
You saw them the whole time.
You put they're called red flags for a reason. Like they're crinkling in the wind and you're still just like, no.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
You're
No.
petty.
So, the signs that made sense too late. That's our reflection for today. Is there anything that came to mind?
I was going to ask you if you had one.
I will say I'm sure that there are signs that have come too late. I know one sign that I've seen and I've acknowledged it as a sign though. And that's that red-tailed hawk.
Yeah.
That I see over by my parents. So I've seen this red-tailed hawk several times in the past maybe 2 years now. Yeah, that's probably about right. 2, maybe 1.5, 2 years. Anyways, this red-tailed hawk, whenever I was feeling this sense of loss spiritually, just that confusion, that doubt in myself and a lot of things, stepping away from my position, I was about to, go back and say, you know what, I'm not going to put in my resignation. That same day when I had the worst day, when I thought I was going to take it back. And I was just like, yeah, dude, I'm not taking it back. I'm resigning. I was about to throw up. And then I see that red-tailed hawk. Got into an argument with one of my parents. I'm sure it was my dad. being stubborn with him and just feeling like, am I in the wrong? And then when I went to go to apologize, seeing that red-tailed hawk and being like, yeah, you're on the right path. So I would say that that made me feel great. What made me feel even better about it was how it got a partner after you and I met. Like all of a sudden there were two of them
Yeah.
after you and I
Well, it was
met.
cool that it showed up over here too.
Yeah, it showed up over at our
Yeah, and then
place.
now it has a little bird friend.
Yeah, it has a girlfriend because I just love male animals. I don't know why. I'm like, it's a boy. It could be holding like a baby and be like, no, breastfeeding it. And I'll be like, it's a boy. Beautiful.
The bird is breastfeeding?
Any animal I see, I'm like, it's a boy. I don't care.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Did you have anything though?
I don't know. My brain's blank now. So if I did, I told it. Oh my Lanta.
None that you acknowledged or any that you
Signs that
didn't?
we're too late. Man, I'm sure I've had tons.
Or I guess, have you ever associated with any certain animals?
Associate with in which way?
Like when you see them, there's just something about them that they kind of kick your butt or make you feel a certain way. Like, I mean, when I see bluebirds,
Right.
I feel like
You get all Twitter
peace.
privilege.
Well, yeah, 'cause it's like
Yeah.
that really beautiful thing.
Me, it's just like being in nature and seeing how it interacts and just you just get to like you walk by and all of a sudden you just see a deer crossing your
Mhm.
view or an elk or whatever that animal is and it just doesn't care what you're doing and it's just being that just the wild
Mm.
is what I guess I never really looked too much into animals as symbols as much as you possibly did. Now, moving forward, it's definitely something I would like to start trying to dig into now. Realize every bird you see isn't going to be a sign, but sitting there and thinking about it. Like today, earlier with the candle,
Mhm.
you never know.
And it's not just, I mean, a whale and a jaguar and birds, like, it's not just the pretty ones that give you signs, it's also the little things that we just are so new to us that we're like, oh yeah, I can kill 100 spiders and it makes no difference. Okay, but then how's that any different than a lion killing a family and thinking there's no difference? Yet we go kill that lion right away. You know, like spiders, insects. I mean, I'm not a fan of flies at all. Not a fan of mice. Mosquitoes, like you said, not everything is a sign, but I think snakes are.
Mhm.
I think snakes are one of the biggest signs that we intentionally ignore.
Yeah.
I think spiders carry a lot of good energy with them that beauty, I mean, that we ignore, besides Charlotte.
I was just gonna say, Charlotte
Yeah,
for sure.
but we notice her because there's a cute little chunky pig underneath, which I get it. I get it. I too only knew Charlotte because of the cute little pig, but
Not her web. Hmm.
it's all about the pig. The daily task is like right away.
Okay.
It's probably going to be like intention, like the first thing that happens when you step out of your house. And I am saying that step out of your house because you could do it from inside.
Okay.
Maybe if it's that dramatic that you look out your window and you see it, acknowledge. But today you're going to notice the first animal. So any animal, if you're intentionally looking for a bird, then
You're gonna
have that intention of a bird. Like look up and that's the first thing I'm going to notice. Whatever. Animal, bird, or natural pattern. Change in wind, the lights reflecting differently. To just practice awareness before interpretation. So you're going to notice the first animal, bird, natural pattern you encounter. So wind, lighting, change in temperature. Like let's say it hasn't been snowing and then tomorrow, boom, snow starts, rain goes. It's a beautifully sunny day in the middle of January or the beginning of January. And that's just to practice awareness before we interpret things. becoming more aware. And honestly, since it is going to be the first day of the week, I think just noticing all week, what is the first thing I'm going to notice tomorrow? You know, what is the first thing I'm going to notice the next day? What's the first thing I'm going to notice today? And just taking that and just understanding, because there may be something that you pass every single day to work that you've never noticed. An animal that sits on that same post every single day on your way to work that you've never noticed because we're too busy, I don't know, picking a song. Because that's me. I'll be into the music so much that I didn't acknowledge that there was a bird that was probably 4 foot tall, a giant bird on the side of the road. And I'm obsessed with birds. I mean, we just miss so many opportunities by not forcing ourselves to be aware. Because to have awareness, you need to practice it.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
in a world,
to be in that moment.
And to be in a world where it's not a virtue to be aware anymore, I think we definitely could start practicing. And it'd be cool to see what animals pop up the most. Like some people, I mean, when you notice it, that red-tailed hawk, all of a sudden I'm noticing it a lot more. Going out deer hunting, we're not seeing anything. All we're thinking about is deer, deer, deer. And then we have that big buck outside the kitchen window that walks in front. And it's like, okay, are you seeing more of the docile animals? Are you seeing more aggressive animals? Are you seeing large, like, protective beings? Or are you seeing things that have to struggle and struggle and struggle, yet they're making it?
Yeah, what energy are you in that you're seeing? Yeah.
So this one I'm going to actually push out to be the weekly challenge. There will be other daily tasks, but the daily tasks don't take a lot. So make this a weekly thing. What is it that you're noticing? And then let us know.
Yeah.
I mean, there are places we can go out. We can drive 30 minutes and we'll go see a bald eagle. If we really look for one, we'll go see one. Some places they won't, but there are animals that they can see that we would never even dream of seeing every day. So yeah, let us know what kind of animals that you are seeing or what kind of patterns you're noticing. And this is just so we can acknowledge that the world speaks first. Like we're just tolerated on this being that we're on, but it truly speaks first. And it can stop things. It can push things forward. It's just all about whether we're going to listen. So that's all that we have for you today. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you for walking this journey with me today. These stories are more than folklore. They are the heartbeat of our world building, the inspiration behind our characters, and the soul of the Legends Reborn Chronicles. By exploring these tales, we honor the past, ignite the present, and breathe life into the legends we're creating together. To see more of Mark and I, as well as additional scenes, discussions, and healing, check the links below that will lead you to our various social media platforms. Please also feel free to ask any questions or leave any comments in the episode below or in future episodes to come. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, may your path be guided by wonder, curiosity, and the magic of the stories that came before us. Blessings, and I'll see you on our next folklore journey.